This video is about the use of shortcuts in the GP consultation records. I've had a really positive experience of introducing this into my practice and would like to share the benefits. So I talk about how they can be used, what their benefits are, what the questions are that I've been asked, and I use a couple of examples early on to show you what I mean, and then go through some of the things I've learnt. And then the second half of the video are lots and lots and lots of examples. I hope you enjoy it. I had a light bulb moment a few months ago, which went like this. A lot of what we do is highly repetitive and predictable. We spend a lot of time typing. In situations where there's a complaint or there's negligence or a performance investigation, the most objective evidence of our actions will be our record. Things that we encounter less often will slow us down, and we actually document a fraction of what we observe in our examination records. In this example, the shortcut #back is the abbreviation which gets replaced with all the negatives that you need to ask when taking a history for back pain. And in this one, it's followed by $back, which are the examination negatives. This is an example of taking a history from a sick baby. The shortcut is #baby, and it's replaced with this list of negatives which can then be edited. In this example, I'm using my shortcut for a safety netting advice for a baby with fever. So I put ampersand baby fever, and that results in the replacement of that with this text around things for the parent to look out for. I found that the benefits of using shortcuts are actually more than the anticipated improvement in timekeeping, and this particular benefit is not just about less time typing, but also about less time looking up lists of things. The second benefit is around consistency and quality of the medical record, and that's got to do with the use of red flags, detailed safety netting, but also things like documenting that a chaperone was offered or was present. The third benefit is that it makes the job feel less demanding and less likely to cause burnout, and that's a combination of less demands on your memory, but also less multitasking of having to write and talk at the same time. And finally, I definitely sense that patients are more satisfied, and that's through a combination of things, of feeling that you're being very thorough, being offered printouts of their consultation as a personalised leaflet, but also the whole consultation is less pressured and you can give the patient more attention. Each of my shortcuts is prefixed with a non-letter character, so the £sign prefix is history shortcuts, the $sign prefix is examination shortcuts, the ampersand sign prefix is safety netting and advice, and the exclamation mark prefix is red flags. Here are some tips I've learnt along the way now that I've made 100 of them. You need to keep them really short and succinct. You need to put the things you're most likely to edit at the end. Use one non-letter character for each group. Paste them in as you start to use them as an aide-memoire, and for some of them it's worth having short and long versions, such as for the neurological examination. Additional tips are to create them as you do your CPD, and for musculoskeletal ones to remember to do a right and a left limb or joint. Be prepared to modify them as you use them, and I find it really helpful to print off consultations where I've used my advice and safety netting shortcuts, because they can act as a patient leaflet. I also keep a printed list of my shortcuts in case I can't remember the exact shortcut, and I also keep a master copy on Google Drive in case this system isn't working. There are 3 questions I get asked a lot about this. The first one is, how does this stand medico-legally? The second one is, doesn't it clutter up your record a lot and make it look like a 111 record? And the third one is, what about coding? So the answers that I have are, firstly, you need to be honest and accurate about what you write. That's just a probity matter, and writing quickly or slowly is irrelevant. The important thing is to be honest. Regarding the cluttered record, obviously this comes down to having very succinct shortcuts and using your judgment about what is an appropriate balance of detail. And thirdly, coding. Obviously you need to code where things are relevant, but the majority of what we write does not need to be coded. So those are the answers in my view about those 3 issues. There are various ways to set up these shortcuts. On EMIS it's called synonyms, on System 1 it's called auto consult, and if you're moving between practices you may want to use another program which you have on an encrypted IT approved USB stick. The rest of the presentation is lots and lots of examples of shortcuts and what they can be used for. This is emergency contraception history shortcut and how it might be applied. A respiratory examination shortcut and how you would tailor it. This is pigmented lesion examination and pigmented lesion safety netting. Asthma as advice safety netting in the form of a management plan. This is then completed with the peak flow numbers added in. Intermenstrual bleeding history shortcut and then completed with an example. This is eczema advice about emollients and topical steroids. This is a fertility history in a woman, and here it's been completed. This is my checklist for non-accidental injury history, and here it is applied. This is a HRT review history, and here it is applied. Here's my shortcut for advice and safety netting for mastitis. Here is my sick day rules safety netting and adapted. This is my history of risk factors for suicide, and the list appears twice in the shortcut, which you then amend to include the positive risk factors in the top list and the ones that have been excluded in the bottom list. This is a statement I put in occasionally when there are third parties in the consultation. And this is something I use when I print out records to give to the patient as a leaflet and safety netting plan. This is a red flag shortcut for epistaxis and a red flag shortcut for sinus symptoms. This is my headache history shortcut with various red flags, and here it is adapted in a particular case. This is the safety netting advice I give to patients on opiates for chronic pain, and this is an example of it adapted. This is my advice to patients when I put their medication on repeat prescription so that they're aware of their responsibilities for attending for medication reviews, and here's an example of it adapted. This is the advice shortcut for patients who develop gout. Syncope history shortcut and applied in a real case. And this is the safety netting shortcut for patients who have suicidal thoughts. Ankle examination shortcut. Ulcer examination shortcut. Abdominal examination shortcut, and an example of it being applied. Thank you for watching this video, and do send me your feedback.